If
us
you
an
have a
email.
question, like if you have
Yeah,
a question that you want us to answer, like if you have a burning curiosity about something, let us know.
let us know. We'll do our best to answer it smartly, as best we can,
Intelligently.
intelligently.
You guys, this is
We
my
will
first
fake it till we make
recording
it.
of 2024.
Is this your first recording of 20? It's the month
Is it
is
really?
over. How did that
Yeah,
happen?
that is because I have been so insanely busy.
Copious amounts of hockey. That's how.
Also,
COVID.
contract negotiations. So,
Right. The day job
yeah,
getting in the way.
stupid day jobs
Stupid
and
day
kids.
job. We need to win the lottery.
We
Um,
really do.
on this episode of Buzzing About Romance, we are talking all about aliens, monsters, and bonkers romances.
Mhm.
These are the romances
Mhm.
you never thought you would love.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I went into these with a lot of doubt,
Mhm.
hesitation.
I was gonna say more hesitation than doubt.
Because so let's talk about this because Leah and I were talking about this a little bit. We recorded a couple quick shots and should you read it before we started the episode. Um, so you made a statement, Leah, that paranormal romance
Hmm.
is a subgenre.
Yeah.
But then I would also say too, sci-fi romances are a subgenre.
Hmm.
And I don't think they're necessarily a subgenre of paranormal. It's its own
No.
subgenre.
Yeah. But they can overlap though too. It's one of those like weird things where it's not necessarily just paranormal. It could be sci-fi because like Anna Hackett has
Mhm.
like alien series, but they're more sci-fi in the way they're established, but they are still aliens, so it is kind of paranormal-esque. So it's those two subgenres are a little more complicated
Yeah.
Mhm.
than like say romantic suspense.
So here's why I went hesitantly into aliens and monsters
Hmm.
and also the bonkers. Because if you tell me, hey, here's a PNR, a paranormal romance, I don't want to read it. I
Right.
don't love shifters. I read Twilight, but I was never a Twilight girly. I read it because everybody else was reading it.
Well, of course.
I read City of Bones because, again, everybody was reading it. I read all the dystopian stuff because everybody was reading it, but I don't love them. I really don't get vampires,
See, I like a
especially
good
sparkly
vampire.
ones.
Well, but
Mm.
you have to find the non-sparklies. You should try that Rowan Hart series that Lindsay and I read. They're mafia vampires. It's a totally different thing, but they're
So
really good.
I sort of also am my whole family loves like Star Wars and Star Trek and all that, and I always was like I don't really get it.
I love a
Um
Star Wars.
yeah, and I so when I started reading, I think Leah, you're like you have to read this series by Anna Hackett, and I was like
Yes, yes, you do.
fine. So I did, and I was like, "Oh, I actually like it."
See?
And every time I read one, I'm like, this is stupid. Why am I not reading more of these? Because I really do like them.
Yeah.
Because you're hesitant because you have this like biased
Hmm.
against certain things because of your insane hate of Star Wars.
Okay. It isn't that I hate Star Wars.
It's like a space monkey, weird brothers and sisters
I
sleeping together. It's odd.
There's no brothers and sisters sleeping together.
I have embraced it. I've had to.
I
I
live with a
mean,
very, very um nerdy
nerdy
family.
family.
Oh, me too.
And like all of the what's canon, what's not. So that's another thing that leaves me hesitant sometimes to start paranormal,
Hmm.
alien, sci-fi, any of these kinds of things is the lore and the world building. It cannot I'm really sorry you guys. It cannot be complicated. I can only unattach reality so much before I'm
Yep.
like cheese and
Oh,
rice.
see, I like that doesn't bug me. Like it can be so far removed from like normalcy that like I really enjoy it.
So I have not ever read fantasy. I really struggle like with the whole fairies thing.
Hmm.
Maybe I need to give it a try, but I've never done that.
Yeah.
Well, but I think it might depend on where you're going because Jamie Slosher, as I think how it's pronounced, she does contemporary romance, but she also has these fae warriors romances as well. And but part of it is like the style in which she writes them. They're like contemporary with like that added mystical element to it, but it's like a whole other realm. Like it's humans going to this other realm. But I only read a couple of them, and I think it's like a 5 or 6 book series, but I really enjoyed the way that they were done because of like the way in which she creates this world and tells the story.
So,
But I'm hesitant on some phase as well.
for the context of this episode,
Mhm.
we aren't really dabbling into typical paranormal. So we aren't going to really go heavy into shifter wolves, or we're not going heavy into fairies.
Mm-mm.
We're looking more at aliens,
Hmm.
Mhm.
monsters.
Yeah.
I'm a little
Mhm.
obsessed with orcs. And
Oh,
then
an
some of the
orc.
bonker things that I have found delightful that I can let go of reality and believe that a door shifted into a man and that she put
Mhm.
the condom on the doorknob.
Stacy says for her, she keeps paranormal, sci-fi, and fantasy all separated. She said she grew up reading mostly paranormal and fantasy, so she leans more towards those and historical over contemporary.
Okay.
And Susie agrees. Orcs are great.
I love me an orc. The only thing it
Uh-huh.
took me a minute to get over with orcs,
The copious amounts of cum.
the copious amounts of
Yeah.
cum. Yeah. That was
There's a
I
lot.
I
Lot.
cannot find what orc one I read, but there was a how the author described the setting felt very like tangled. Like I
oh,
I was like it was like I'm in a tangled world like the movie Tangled. And I
yeah.
Yes.
was like, yes, that I can get into. Give
Ooh.
this girl a
We need to
Disney
we
princess.
need to find that, Heather, because
I went
I
through a
would read that.
hundred pages on my Goodreads and could not find it.
It's probably not on your Goodreads then.
Abby.
Um
I don't know where it's at.
I am obsessed with
Past Heather is an idiot.
the
That's what
orc at
that
the
says.
office. I talk about that series a lot. Cupcake for my orc enemies, which is Honey Phillips. I love Cookies for My Orc Neighbor by Michelle Mills. Um,
Danny
Ava,
Wyatt has like a, not to interrupt, but Danny Wyatt has like an orc daddy series. So if you like the daddy kink books, she like blends the
how
orcs
did
and
I
the
not know
daddies.
there were orc
I told you about
daddies?
this. I
I
told you about
missed
this
this.
because it's Danny Wyatt and she writes a lot of bonkers. She's in that like I'm in that whole step
That's
like
right. Step Santa and
the
stuff.
step Santa, step sinner, all those steps. Like she writes a taboo, but yeah, they're daddies and they're orcs.
Well, I really
There's
like
so
Honey
much
Phillips.
orc.
There's a lot of orc.
There's a lot of
There's
Ooh.
orc.
there's a lot. I don't know what it is. Like all of a sudden in the past, I'd say 6 months to a year, like the orcs have exploded.
So I
Mhm.
do. Okay, so let's get back to our questions and then we'll.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's
Yeah.
okay. So,
Focus.
what is the draw for the aliens and the monsters? Like, why do you go into them? I go into them because they're fantastical. Like,
Hmm.
I want to read the funny and I want to read the absurd. And, like, seriously, I saw Vera Valentine share the cover of Unhinged,
Hmm.
and I was like, that's a door.
You're like, I need to read that book.
And it was 61 pages of delightful chaos. And it had a storyline.
But I think the thing is, like, we all read to escape. Like,
Mhm.
reading is escape for us. But when you get those aliens, you get those shift, like, doors, you get those fever dreams. Like, it takes you out of even, like, the realm of reality. Like, it takes you, like, 2 steps further than just the contemporary or even just a historical. Like, it takes you to another world in the
I
literal sense.
I actually really like how it's a different world. Like kind of what you said, it's an escape. Like the author can make up their own rules and
Yeah.
traditions or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I also really think that a lot of the aliens treat their females like really like queens, and it's really sweet. And a lot of design flaws in men are corrected in aliens.
I
Like their parts,
their
maybe?
business is a little
Yeah, their
more
business.
their
Well,
business
and
is a little better.
sometimes the tail
Speaking of
helps.
business, speaking of
Mhm,
business, I'm a little obsessed with this series that I found and that Merritt and I are reading right now. And
mhm.
Oh,
I'll
because
talk about it in
if
my
it's
book of the
bonkers,
week.
Merritt will read it.
Well,
Oh, we
that's just
know.
it. This episode is inspired by Merritt, who loves the bonkers.
She does.
Um, it is anyway, there's knotting in it, which I still don't 100% understand
Ooh.
all the knotting. But there are tales that have notches in business that help things out.
What is this series?
I'll talk about it in my book of the week. Stick around.
Inquiring minds want to know.
It's so good. And yeah, I'll talk about it in book of the week because Michael asked
So
me
What's
to
your
be
book of the week?
PG-13 until like halfway through.
I wrote two answers to this.
That's fine.
I think too, some of the alien or some of the romance that we've read, it is so completely different from everyday life. Like
Hmm.
their concerns and worries are not about grocery shopping or what,
Right.
like, you know what I mean? They're not like ours. It's so different.
I have not read a blue alien that worries about Taylor Swift, is all I'm saying.
Oh,
Well, but also too, it's like, so I read a book by Millie Taden, and it's like a alien. She's like goes to this other world, other planet to be the nanny to this alien's kids.
hmm,
Like it's a nanny series, but it's like it's this whole other world, but they have the same problems as we do at the same time. So it's like it doesn't matter like who you are or what you are, like everybody's problems are the same.
yeah, I mean, that works too.
So I forgot about the one book. Heather, did you read the Golden Angel Sinister Ange book that's the alien Hugh Cow book?
Probably. If you got to.
I know you do like a Hugh
But
cow.
I don't get it. It makes no sense. Don't ask. It's one of
Again,
those
this is one of
things.
the but yeah, but like I love a breeding kink, but I do not
I
live
do
that
too.
life.
I know.
Yes,
I like primal kink, but don't freaking chase me in the woods. Like
So
what?
I'm
we have a
not
group
running in the woods.
like we have a group chat with all the contributors, and we were talking about like kinks and things like that. And I was like, if my husband asked me to call him daddy, I might punch him in the dick.
Well, yeah.
Because honestly, that is not something that I ever want to come out of his mouth or my mouth, like in those moments. But I
Ever.
love those books. I will like throw down a daddy romance like nobody's business. But if that came out of Michael's mouth, I'd be like, no, thank you.
When Sebastian York says good girl and you're
Oh
listening,
yeah.
I mean, I
Oh
like
yeah.
blush like hardcore. But
I
if my
just
husband
lost.
ever uttered those words, I'd be like, peace out, friend. We're done.
Oh,
You
I
don't get to
know. Like,
talk that way.
do not call me that because that's just weird, but
So weird.
I will read it. Like Aiden Snow, like
Oh yeah.
Colin, like saying anything.
Jacob Morgan.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay.
Great.
Um,
We took a hard
we
left.
took a hard
Sorry.
left. Shocking.
It wasn't hard. It
Well,
was
but
just
it's
a
okay. As you were
weird.
talking about, like she leaves the world, and it
Yeah.
made me think of her favorite Hugh Cow by Sinister Ange,
Mm-hmm.
which is a pen name for Golden Angel. She's very open about it.
Yep.
Mhm.
The woman is kidnapped by space aliens and
Mhm.
sold
To be a Hugh
into
cow?
to be a Hugh
Yeah.
Cow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Producer.
It is
Oh, I might have to read
stinky
that.
spicy, and it's a 4-book series, and like so spicy.
Actually, Renee Rose has a series where it is his human slave. She's
Oh.
basically purchased to become like his breeding person. And
There,
she does
Again,
BDSM
red
on
flags and romance are not the same as
uh,
red flags in life.
well, because Michelle Mills, I think it might be who is it? Michelle Mills. There's this whole like auction to the Alien
No,
series.
is that Honey Phillips is, I think, a part of that.
I don't think. Here, let me look it up.
Because Cookies
I
for
forgot to
My
write
Orc
it.
Neighbor is by Michelle Mills.
Yes, but I don't think that this series is the same.
Okay, we are hard left off the questions here, people.
But we are still talking about the same things.
How did you find yourself into monster romances?
Oh, did you know Michelle Mills has one called The Bad Boy Minotaur?
No, but I'm finding I'm fond of minotaurs because I'm working.
Oh, it's the highest bidder series, Auction to the Alien Beast. It's Michelle Mills, Hope Ford, and Olivia T. Turner.
I'm finding minotaurs might be my thing because I'm working. Rebecca Gallo announced on her IG Live this last week that she's writing a book called Molly and the Minotaur.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so fun. It is so good.
I don't like the Minotaurs as much. I did like Milking Farm, the Morning Glory Milking Farm.
I did like Morning Glory Milking Farm.
I did like that too.
But it's really iffy as whether or not I'm like drawn to the Minotaur or not.
Okay, so here's the funny thing, and she talked about it in our live. She talks about the set. So we met Rebecca in November at HEA Readers event, and she's like, Becky, I have this idea. And I was like, okay, pitch it to me. And she pitches me her idea about Molly and the Minotaur, and I'm like, okay. And I'm hesitant.
Like I would read that.
Because I'm like, oh, okay. But then she goes on to tell me, I believe centaurs have 2 penises. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think anatomically they do. And she's like, for the purpose of my world, they do. And so she drove all the way back to North Carolina or South Carolina thinking about that. And then she decided that they didn't. Meanwhile, while I'm in the car, meanwhile, I'm in the car driving home, Googling how many.
God. Not incognito either, because we don't do that.
We don't do that. Whatever. What was your gateway monster romance?
My gateway monster? I don't even know.
It was Leah. She like basically forced me and said, "You love Anna Hackett. You have to read this." And I said, "Fine." I like stomped my feet and went and read it. And then I was like
a toddler, she stomps her feet.
I really like this. And then I started reading it.
So Ruby Dixion was one of the first authors that I kind of did stuff with. So mine are the Blue Aliens.
Oh.
And then her dragons.
I don't know who is my like OG monster alien author.
But the Bonkers, my OG Bonkers author, Vera Valentine and Squeak. Because I saw it and I thought, are those balloon animals? How does that work? And I had to find out. So I read it.
Yeah, I don't know who. I don't remember who my one, but Pamela Bones. This was a Merit like recommendation. It's Pamela Bones and Cleo Evans. It's called Erotic Excavations.
Which Pamela Bones is another pen name for Vera Valentine.
Right. So it's the 2 of them, but so it's Erotic Excavations, but they're dinosaurs, but they don't shift. Like they're dinosaurs, but there's like a special talisman or curse or something. So most people can't see that they're dinosaurs all the time, or like they have dinosaur heads, but not dinosaur bodies.
Speaking of dinosaurs,
I'm not sure of the anatomy, but it was actually really delightful.
Speaking of dinosaurs, over in Discord, in our paranormal fantasy channel, I shared a screenshot of a dinosaur blow up. And
oh yeah, totally looked like a penis.
Totally,
Anna,
1000%.
Anna had a really funny little thing about it.
Yeah, she did.
It was so funny.
Can you imagine putting that in your yard? My neighbors would be like,
I would totally do
your hobby a little too far, Heather.
I totally would do it.
I mean, we are not blow up people, so we would not do that. But
I would do it.
Oh, I know. Jenny would. Jeremy would totally buy that for her. Didn't they have blow up dinosaurs this year?
They did, but is that a dinosaur? Or is that a penis?
It's totally a penis, but
you can join our Discord and go over and check that out to see if you want to see what it looks like.
Okay, so I'm going to say something about like the popularity of Ruby Dixion. So that was 2 summers ago, right?
Well, it really started
Mm.
in December of 2019, and it as shutdown happened and Book Talk kind of had its rise, Ruby Dixion was the first indie author to come out of Book Talk and get the distribution deal. She was
Okay.
the first. So
So
summer 2020.
you told me, I think you'd actually really like this, Heather. You should really try it. And I resisted hardcore because trends don't always equal good for me,
Right.
right? I thought maybe this is overhyped. And then I dove in and did a whole summer of Blue Aliens.
Blue
And
Aliens.
I was not at all sad. It was very good. And I loved the audiobooks also.
I will say though, I can only do so many Ruby Dixons in a row
Yeah, I think
because
that's fair.
there's a like a repetitiveness, and it's not a bad thing. Like she has her like
Well,
formula and all that stuff, and not Hoth, and but I
it's
can
like
only do like
breeding
5.
kink on crack, though.
I
Mhm.
know it really is.
And
Which is why I
horns
love
that
it.
vibrate.
Well,
And
and they have
I
like the nubbin, but I can only do so many in a row before I'm like, I think it's just too much for me. Like I can only do a couple breeding kinks in a row before I'm like, I need a break.
I feel the same way
And
about orcs, though. I feel
but then
like how many
but
buckets
then
can we
I
fill? And then I need to be done.
but then I take a hard left to like the primals and gouging eyeballs. So I mean, there's a vast variety of things on my Kindle
But
on any
don't you
given
think
day.
that Ruby Dixion, the popularity of Ruby Dixion and
Mhm.
the Ice Planet Barbarians,
Mhm.
really helped bring alien and monsters into the mainstream? Because they've
Yes.
always been
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I was not a child that had this, but if you were a millennial in school and you had Clippy with your word class that you took,
Mhm.
he was like a little paper
It's a
clip
little like paper clip that pops up.
that was
He's like a
helpful
help.
in Word, and it was like for students. Anyway, there is Clippy fanfic books that are
Oh, is
erotica.
there?
There is Clippy
Wow.
erotica. Yeah.
We may have to read that.
So
I did not really use Clippy. Like Clippy existed when I was still in school, but he was new. Yeah.
Mm.
but I do think that the popularity of Ruby Dixion really helped push the genre out there. And then we did see authors that might have written it before, but hadn't really, like Katie Robert. She was really a
Mhm.
contemporary author. And then all of a sudden she's writing vampires and she's writing gargoyles and krakens and dragons.
Well, I think the big thing is like that push with Ruby Dixon. It allowed authors to say, I don't have to stick to this standard. I can like write anything
Well, and I believe the
in the
door
romance
fell in love with
genre.
the lady in Unhinged.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, because there's
Have you
always
seen
been
that
like,
paperback?
it's very cute.
No.
It has hinges on the
It has
sides.
hinges on the spine of the book,
Yeah,
Oh, that's cute.
right?
but
I'm just not gonna
but the
fall in love with the
audio has
door.
like the door noises too and
Yeah.
stuff.
They're
Like she went all out with this book and like the basis of it. But I think that's the thing. Like it really allowed the romance authors, because there's always been aliens, there's always been sci-fi, but it's always been like a separate genre. But I feel like Ruby Dixon, like the resurgence of that whole series and the popularity of that whole series really showed like the romance writer that they are not beholden to the tame
yeah.
I
anymore.
also think it is a lot of contemporary romance authors' passion is
Mhm.
in PNR
Yeah.
or
hmm And it becomes a
aliens.
passion project, or they write the fantasy, the monsters, and it's just kind of a
Mhm.
side fun thing they do. And I think that fun, that happiness, that joy comes through those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Um, okay. Do you find it difficult sometimes to suspend belief and read these? I do not. Like, give me a hue
Mm-mm.
cow. I believe this is a thing. There are aliens that want to buy women for their milk.
I don't I
I
have
don't
a
even know how
really
to say that.
I don't know, and I don't know how to comment to that, so I'm just skipping it. Like I have a pretty vivid imagination. So the idea that stuff like this possibly could exist, like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's pretty outlandish, but you know what? I mean, there's been orcs since the time of Tolkien. You know, I mean, who's to say that somebody didn't fall in love with one?
So I think the other thing that I find with this too is the lore in the world building
Hmm.
seems easier for me in monsters and in aliens and in door shifters and balloon animal shifters. It seems easier for me to believe versus a vampire walking amongst us,
Yeah.
or that very hairy dude is
Yes.
actually a wolf
Yeah.
or a bear
Correct.
that's a
Yes.
lumberjack named Teddy.
Well, but it's just so outlandish. And I think that's the big thing, like the bonkers books that we read. Like it's just so out there. There's like you can't but help but really enjoy the fact that these authors are taking a huge chance with their books. And like Vera Valentine, when she even said like when she wrote Squeak, she was just writing it to see what happened, basically.
Yeah, just to have fun.
And that's the thing, like it's this world that these authors create because it's something new, it's something different. It is something for them to really like build their authorness. I had a totally like better way of saying that, but it's like they can just do what they want. Like they can create a
Mhm.
world how they want and
Right.
what they want, and they're
Centaurs
not
can have two penises if you really want them to.
like, but they're not beholden to the norms. And I think that's the big thing. Like they can just do whatever they want.
Okay, so let's talk about some of our favorite aliens, monsters, bonkers books.
Okay.
I'll start. One of my favorites that I keep telling everybody to read because not enough people are reading this is Titan by Gillian Graves. He is a gargoyle dom. He's a daddy dom gargoyle. He does not shift. He stays a gargoyle. It is so delightful,
Hmm.
so spicy, and it's so good. And there is an audiobook for it too. So that's one I think if you haven't read it, it's in Kindle Unlimited. You should check it out. What do you got, Leah?
Okay. So, Cynthia Eden. So, Monster of Mercy, it's one of her newer books. She actually just came out with it a couple months ago. He's like a fallen angel where he there's no real specific about what he is, but he like, doing good hurts him. Like his whole premise is like to be this like essentially like evil thing and
So is it Good Omen vibes to it a little bit?
yeah, I guess so
Or
because
like
like
Dogma?
a little bit, because like his heroine is a descendant of an actual angel, but she doesn't know it, but she like glimmers. So she has like this sheen that only like certain people can see, but like it's been hidden. And so he like comes to basically like make her bad. It
So
was really an interesting premise, and it's not something that I've ever read before.
speaking of Glimmer, I should mention, I think Charlene Harris was probably one of my gateway because she wrote
Oh yeah,
the Sookie Stackhouse
the
series.
True Blood series, yeah.
Yeah,
I read
Mhm.
all those ones, yeah.
I liked those books.
I did too.
Okay, Heather, what is that glimmering made me think of Sookie? Um,
I
The
have not
books
read
are
as
way
many
better than
as
the show, but
I
well,
haven't read as
Alex
many as you
Skarsgård
guys,
is
but
like the highlight of that entire. Give
I do
me a
like it.
freaking Viking without a shirt on.
I do like a Skarsgård. I will
which
say
by the
that.
way, I could not find any really good Viking. If there are anybody out there who wrote like I'm thinking like I love How to Train Your Dragon, but like I want adult like real
Okay, wait.
people.
So I have some old school historicals that are bodice ripper Vikings, but there's zero consent in them. But
I,
they are
It's
delightful.
Heather. She doesn't care about
He doesn't care
Joanna
about that.
Lindsay has a series of 3. People are taken hostages. They have to wear chains.
Wait, so
Not a lot of consent.
have you read Dragon Shifters though? Because that would kind of give you the same vibes as that.
Okay, here's
No,
my problem with Dragon Shifters because the girl child did read the firefighter lesbian Dragon Shifters that everybody suggested that she read.
Well,
And
because they're just looking for
because she was
the
looking for
books.
firefighters and whatever. She got caught up in the fact that the dragon ladies didn't have nobody had demi penises, which is apparently a thing in reptiles.
Okay, so most of the books they
Wow.
talk about, there's no penis talk when they're in the dragon form. So,
I can only tell
but
you
you
what I
might
know.
want to. Marie Johnston has a dragon shifter series.
Oh,
They're
those-
shifter light. You might like those.
I started reading January Bell, which she has quite a following. People are probably like, how the hell did you not find her sooner? But she has Accidental Alien Brides,
Wait, how are you an
and
accidental alien bride?
these women are like in the space thing from Earth, and it's all females, and it's like a female run like space force, and they're sent there, and their world, like Earth, sent them to marry the aliens, but they had no idea.
That was nice
It's
of Earth to send them.
it's very good, and like he calls her my heart. That's what he calls like the female, my heart. I'm like, oh my God, that's the sweetest thing ever.
So Maeve
But you would smack
Black,
Justin if he called you that.
I would smack him.
Maeve Black has, well, they're not shifters, they're just dragons that have
Hmm.
this sex. I read Dear Monster Claus during all of my Christmas shenanigans, and he had a candy cane shaped penis. And, he tasted like
Wait, was he the
peppermint,
peppermint? Okay.
and she tasted like sugar cookies. Holiday delights, people, holiday delights.
I mean, whatever.
But she has other books that are not holiday, but she's also a
Well,
BIPOC author. So,
January Jones there's a defect in the male anatomy that she has since corrected with these. Not the same as Ruby Dixon, but very similar. And I was like, I wonder where I get one of my like take me to that planet.
I'm available to be an alien wife.
Do they have hockey there? Because that's the only reason I'm going.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so next book I think that more people need to read, Monster Pucker by Cleo Evans and Ashley Bennett. It was Yeti and Krampus. It was a fated mates. Nobody shifts. They're monsters with the lady. She's plus sized, great plus size rep. And also flavored fluids. When they're so she's fated to Krampus. And when a Krampus, yes, it's the Krampus. I think so. When he's fated to it, like he's mating with his mate, his fluids have a specific flavor, and it only happens with his true mate.
Like
So,
the good flavor?
like peppermint.
Well, but how would like
And they're hockey
How would-
players.
but how would he know that it tastes different with
Well,
other
because
people?
he has two mates. He's mated to the Yeti and to the lady.
So it's different for the Yeti and the
No,
lady?
it all tastes the same because they're fated together. The three of them are supposed to be together.
Right, but
A throuple?
It's a
it is a
throuple,
throuple.
and they're hockey players, and it's an age gap
How
and a
did
plus.
I not read this?
I
don't know
sent
how
you.
haven't.
I
She's
sent you the cover
talked
like
about this.
17 times and said,
Oh my
because I made
God.
Lindsay read it because you were off in La La Land half the time of December.
Apparently. Criminy.
But I don't understand how did they know that it was different though?
Oh, well, because it's lore he talks about that when he's with his mate, his true love, that his
His jizz is different.
it has a flavor, a specific flavor.
Okay.
So
Hmm,
anyway,
fascinating.
what's another book you should read, Leah?
So Michelle Mills, she has this whole Monsters Love Curvy Girls series where there's different there's 8 or 9 or 10 books in the series, but it's all different things. Like one is his human nanny, his human assistant, his human organizer. So it's like all these different like relationship starters. But they're shorter. There's just something about it that I just can't stop reading them sometimes.
Heather, who's another book and author that you think more people
Um,
should read?
so I kind of talked a little bit about Renee Rose has a series, a Zandian, I think it's called.
Mm.
Oh,
And that is in Kobo Plus, but she has another series. It's Zandian Brides, and they're reverse harems. So y'all know I love me a reverse harem.
yeah. Do alien
Um,
swords cross?
I just started it. I
Okay.
forgot I had it. She must have had them on sale or something because
She had like the whole series for free on
okay,
like,
because it's an 8 book series and I own all of them and I just
yeah,
looked and
they were either
Audible
free or 99 cents. Like she did a huge sale.
and then the audible bleh, I can talk today. The audio is included in my subscription. So
Nice.
score one for Heather or anybody that has Audible.
There you
Apparently.
go. So I did read The Mead Mishaps by Kimberly Lemmings. And I will
Mm-hmm.
tell you, when you first look at them, you think, oh, these are going to be cozy and fun. But she destroys a whole city. Like the dragon burns it to the ground. So this is the time I got drunk and saved a demon, the time I got drunk and yeeted a love potion at a werewolf, and the time I got drunk and saved a human. I love this series. I cannot not talk about that series. So it's really fun. Plus those titles, right? Like
Those are
I was just
I
gonna say that's your love language. I got drunk and did this.
the time, remember that one time I got drunk?
You're gonna need to be more specific when you're talking about you.
Right. Right. Okay, Leah, what do you got now?
Well, I'm gonna move to some aliens because I don't have any more
Okay.
monsters. So Anna Hackett, which Heather and I have talked about, but her, um, she has a couple different series.
Mhm.
But her, I gotta find the title of the series. Hold on a second.
We read Edge of Eon. You and I did a quick shot
The
on
Eon
that.
Warriors series, that
That's
is
good.
actually her first Alien series I started, and I went back because all of her Alien series, they're interconnected, like they all have connections, and it's just really the world in which she creates is just really elaborate and intense, and the connections that these characters have, like they're fated mates, but nobody like really realizes it until like the story plays out, because the Eon Warriors, they have this like implant thing that like gives them like armor, or that's how like their weapons come out. But like it when they meet their mate, I can't remember what the stupid thing is called, but so that thing that they have like implanted, it like conforms to their mates as well. So it's like if they
Mhm.
have armor, their mate has armor. So it's actually really interesting, like the way that she created like that connection with
Mhm.
them.
It's good.
It's like symbiote, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
It's good.
What do you got, Heather?
Well, she took mine. I got Time Thief.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
With by Anna Hackett. I really
Um,
like
okay,
her.
so I'm gonna leave the other one, the alien one. I read one book out of the series. I'm gonna leave that for Leah to talk about next because that was her rec. Um, but Aliens, Planet Oster by Vera Valentine. This is by far my very, very, very favorite book. Every time I think about it, I just laugh. It's a why choose. It's Easter themed. They are different pastel chick aliens that and her name is Chick, and I'm sorry, her name is Chick, they're bunnies, alien male bunnies, and when they fluid, it is pastel Easter colors. Like, so if he's the blue bunny, his fluid is blue. If you're the yellow bunny, your fluid's yellow. Um, that whole book was delightful and fun, and it was everything I didn't even know I needed. So, Planet Oster. And if you're part of our Patreon, I do have a Should You Read It or Buzzing After Dark on it over on Patreon. But that book, every time I see the cover, I just smile. Like, I
It
love that
is
book.
it is a fun cover.
Okay, so what do you got next? Planet Alienness.
Okay, so Millie Taden,
That was
Alien
not the one I
needs.
was trying to feed you, though.
I don't know which one you're trying to feed
Zoe
me.
Draven.
Oh, I can talk about that one in a minute. The alien, but these Millie Tadens, they're alien needs a nanny books. Like, so it is Earth
Um,
women who go to other planets to nanny for these aliens for some reason or another. It's a 4-book series. I think only one. Oh no, all 4 of them are out. I've only read a couple of them, but yeah, so they go and they end up falling in love because it's a nanny, and who doesn't fall in love with their nanny in like in romance? But yeah, so they're really fun. Like book 1, like the heroine is just she's had a lot of like really bad luck like on Earth, and so she's like sees this ad and is like, "Hey, maybe if I go to a different planet, things will get better." And it does. She
Oh,
falls in love.
so funny. That's so funny. Do you have another alien uh over there, Heather?
no, I don't. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I obviously need to do more alien reading.
Well, I want to talk about, we talked about it a little bit, his favorite Hugh Cow by Sinister Ange. It's a
Yeah.
4-book series. Absolutely should read it. It is bonkers. It is delightful. Um, it is everything you didn't know you wanted to read. And it's
Yeah.
kinky AF.
Hmm. I mean,
It's golden.
it's by Golden, so you know it's gonna be kinky.
Right. You know that it's going to have kinky in it. What else do you got, Leah? Talk about Zoe Draven. Tell everybody
Okay,
all
so
about the Horde.
well, so Zoe Drayden, she has multiple alien series. Like she has her Warriors of Luxuria. She has another one. She had her newest series. It's like these. They're not vampires. They're aliens with like wings. There's a whole like blood thing with it, but Merritt really likes them. Sorry, Merritt, for throwing you under the bus again. But so if you have not read her Horde King series, you are doing yourself a disservice because they are big. Their penises are not normal penises. There's like bumps and ridges, but they have a tail. Their tail like gets in there and helps with things.
What series? Say that again.
It's
Slower.
the Horde King, HORDE.
Say that
Kings,
slower.
there's 6 books in this series. Now I will say
Heather,
that
how many books have you bought tonight?
I'm
these
not.
are these are all in
I have
Kindle
7
Unlimited.
Amazon tabs open right now.
These are all Kindle Unlimited, but you do have to read them in order because there's an overarching storyline because of like what is happening on the planet. Um, and so, but it's just really good. Now you will want to like dick punch some of these idiots because they are stupid and they do have dark moments. And they think they're doing a
So
noble
Stacy
thing.
says her Kava series has really good sex worker rep. Zoe's backlist is really
Mhm.
incredible. So
Yeah, I like every book that I've read by her, I've really enjoyed. Um, so but the worlds in which she creates, like you have, like I would love to pick her brain.
I'm
Be like,
down.
where do you come up with these? Susan Stoker actually recommended the Hordes to me, and so every time I can talk about them, I do. But yeah, she has aliens, she has like multiple series that are really, really well done, and like it's really oh, she's a BIPOC author? I didn't know that. It's good to know. Thanks, Stacy.
Ooh,
well,
Thanks.
okay. Look at you.
they're also an audio.
They are an
Ooh,
audio.
FYI for our
I
audio
should,
friends.
I might be down for a reread.
I mean, a
Mhm.
quick shot near you. Um, I need to talk about monsters though, because I don't feel like I've talked enough
Yeah.
about monsters.
I mean, we have, but it's okay
But
if you want
my
to talk
whole
about them
paper
more.
is
See, that's
monsters.
the thing. You read a lot of monsters. I read a lot of the aliens. And we
And
both
Heather's
read the
just like, what
bonkers.
is wrong with you guys?
No,
Heather's like, let me add that to my Kindle.
Bye now.
I
I don't know why she doesn't listen to
I
us.
have read this many hockey romances in the month of January.
Good.
Boone.
Good for
One.
you.
Was it Boone?
hmm
I
And then
wasn't in
it
the
broke your
emotional
heart.
headspace for Boone, so I haven't read it yet.
Okay, so author, I recently picked up, so when I read Monster Pucker by Ashley Bennett, I went
Uh-huh.
and I checked out Muscles and Monsters by Ashley Bennett. The audio is in Hoopla for the first two. Book 3 isn't out yet. Book 2 is called Tentacles and Triathlons. It takes place in a fitness gym. And Tentacles and Triathlon is male, but tentacles.
Ooh.
It was
The
spicy.
covers are
Adorable.
amazing.
Aren't they
amazing?
cute? Yes.
So great.
So I really liked those audios. I know Merritt liked them too, but they were a good fun.
I think like the Leviathan like fitness like series title is just perfect too.
It really is. Stalked by the Kraken by Lillian Lark. Lillian Lark was one of the first like monster authors that I read after Katie Robert, and I really liked Stalked by the Kraken. Like,
Well, actually, it's Katie's fault that we read all of these.
right, because we had her on for a special Halloween episode, and she gave us a spreadsheet. So we
Yeah,
have the
like-
Katie Robert monster spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's like it was very detailed, but like because Katie really enjoys a monster romance to read them.
Yeah. And
It's just- So
The
you'll have to
covers
go.
of Lillian Lark's books they're shelf worthy.
they are shelf worthy. Oh, 100%. Okay. And also book that is on my radar
Mhm.
is the Fairhaven Falls series. I think these are Honey Phillips. She has a Valentine's Day one coming out in February. That's like my vampire Valentine.
Mhm.
And another
She has a lot of like cyborgs and aliens too. So, but Honey Phillips is one of those authors where like they're on the shorter side. So if you're looking for something like they're pretty light usually, like
Yeah.
she writes a really good story though.
Tana Stone is another one that's writes a lot of aliens and cyborgs that's on
Mhm.
my monster.
Grace Goodwin, who used to be more like two people, because wasn't it Vanessa Vale and somebody else? Didn't they weren't they a duo?
Yes.
But now it's just one person, I think, since Vanessa isn't doing it anymore. But she has cyborgs and different things like that as well.
Honey Phillips has a new book coming out in February called Hot Wolf in the City.
Yep. Cover also adorable.
Oh, she has one called The Folsom Planet Blues, Alien Most Wanted, the complete series.
Wait, who's
Ooh,
that?
Honey Phillips. I just looked up her name. Trouble for My Troll, a cozy monster romance.
I've never read a troll romance.
I haven't either. One of the moms at Swim, so we talk about books a lot because she reads romance, but she said there's Annabelle Chase who writes under another name as well, but I can't think of what it is. But it's this whole like they're cozy mysteries, but they have romantic elements. But there's Grimms and witches and all sorts of chaos. Like this one is the Federal Bureau of Magic. It's like the FBI of magic.
Okay, so that is where we are at on monsters. I want to talk about one more series, but it's also my book of the week. So
Because it's that time.
Okay.
because it's that time.
For book
Of the week. It's book of the week time. So of course I had to do a monster read for, because I had to get ready, right? But I actually saw that Cleo Evans was putting this series back in Kindle Unlimited. And I sent a screenshot to Merritt and I'm like, I think this is for us. Because in slide 1 were the words vagina fangs. And I'm like,
jumped right on that.
I was like, what? How can a vagina have fangs? I must know more. So I guess I'm going first with my book of the week.
I mean, you jump right into it, so we were just letting you go.
Warts and Claws Inc. by Cleo Evans is the name of the series. It is monsters and witches, spicy office romances, enemies to lovers, all the kinks. Book 2 has inappropriate uses of office supplies.
Ooh,
That's in book 2.
nice.
Might be stapling was mentioned as a kink. So
Stapling?
so I read Not So Kind Regard by Cleo Evans. This is my book of the week. It is a MMW, so Monster Woman, romance.
Do the swords.
Oh, heavily the swords cross. There is tail nodding. They are the witches. The dudes are the witches.
Okay.
And
So they're warlocks, not witches.
no, they are witches.
Oh, really? 'Cause
They are
typically
witches.
the male is a warlock, not a witch.
They are witches.
Mm.
And she is a succubus with a tail. And her tail has a heart shape on the end that sometimes comes up to play.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah,
Sounds like we all need to read that.
that was book 1, Not So Kind Regard by Cleo Evans. And when I tell you, I think it pops. They fight over, he steals her coffee maker and she walks in on him doing things with his mate, who's another witch that is his assistant. So like 3% it pops.
It's maybe I'll read that tonight.
It was delightful.
Because we all know, like I went down a romantic suspense rabbit hole this weekend, so
It was delightful. 10 out of 10 recommend. Not So Kind Regard by Cleo Evans. Okay. Heather, what's your book of the week?
Wow. I am reading Wed to the Alien Prince by January Bell. It is book 2 in the Alien Bride series. And it's very, very good. She's very sassy. She's a big, I don't know, like second in command of like this ship.
Okay.
She's sassy and he's a prince and he loves that she's kind of sassy, and so it's really good.
Fun.
It's a little slower burn, but that's okay. It's good.
That's okay. Leah, what's your book of the week?
So my book of the week is actually an arc, so it isn't coming out for a couple more weeks. But so Marie Johnston's new one, An Unfinished Memory. I have to say that this might be one of my favorite books that she has ever written. And I like her books. Like you guys all know that like I have a obsession with her, and Kate and Aiden are like my favorite couple. But I think that these two like far surpass like
I am
everything.
so excited.
It is
about this book.
so they're divorced, like, but
Mhm.
they're like kind of coming back together, but it's the issues that were plaguing them before they got divorced are still the problem, but it's really, really, really well done. And I was honestly like, I'm like 25% into it. I'm like, I already started crying. Like she hits you in all the feels in this one. Like it is just it I it is gonna be really, really good.
Okay, so those are our book of the weeks. We are on to our new segment. Can you guess the book? Each week we share a quote from a recent or popular buzzing about romance read, and you have the chance to email us your guess at quote@buzzingaboutromance.com, and we will announce the correct answer on the next week's show. Last week's quote, nobody guessed. But as soon as I say this, Heather's going to tell us what the book is. Last week's quote was, "You're being weird and not like pineapple and olives on pizza weird." Name the book. Oh, she doesn't.
I do. It's Helene hunting a secret for
A favor for a favor.
Oh, a favor. Sorry. Yeah.
You're
A
in the
favor
right
for a favor.
series. So.
Okay, but I mean, it's King and Queenie.
No, it's Stevie and
Kingston.
Bishop.
Oh, damn it.
You're all over the place, but it's fine.
I am. I'm a mess.
I mean, she's in the right world.
It was hard. Okay,
It was hard.
so here's this week's quote. So if you know what book or author I guess book. This is for a book. If you know what book this is from, make sure you email us. And the quote is, "And then I want to weep. I think I haven't dressed properly for alien abduction." So.
That sounds good.
You've read it.
Maybe you need to send that to me and then read it. I need to read it.
She said you've read it.
You've read it. You might have mentioned it on the episode.
You guys, I am a hot mess. Now this is, everyone gets to see all the hot mess.
This is like
all laid out.
like the train
platter.
derails and how it goes. Patreon update.
Why did you say it like that?
Because I'm trying to spice things up. Suck it.
Remember, there are certain things that aren't supposed to be like, they're good on some things and not the others.
Patreon update. Maybe we'll get as popular as the Kelsey brothers in their new news.
New news.
So see, you say that all the time. Maybe Patreon update.
Maybe, or maybe not.
Probably not. But hey, there's hope.
Anyway, swag packs go out to so I don't think we have any like new Patreon news. Also, if you are part of our swag pack Patreon, or if you're part of Patreon and you're waiting for your anniversary sticker, I got 3 years out in October, but I didn't do November and I didn't do December and I didn't do January. But they will go out here in February. So you'll get your 3-year sticker in February if you hadn't gotten it yet. Also 1 and 2 year. I will get caught up on those this month. Swag packs go out to Fancy Drink, Cold Brew, and Queen Bee Tier. And we still have fun buzzing about romance exclusive stickers, mood reading cards, and other fun things. These are mailed monthly around the 10th of the month. And we do ship these internationally. This perk is mailed once monthly. If you join after the 10th, your first swag pack will be mailed the following month. Because of you, our amazing patrons, we're able to bring you 3 episodes a week, and we're still working on our goal of 75 members so we can plan our first ever book retreat. And I'd really love to have it in the summer of 2025. So if we could get more patrons, that would be great. Because that'll be 5 years.
It will be 5 years.
5 years. Heather, we've been besties for 5 years.
We have.
Like Heather's like, we're not besties, but we
No,
are.
we are. I'm just thinking 2025 is a big year at our house.
I know. It's a big year.
August of 2025, I'm going to have to bring one of my favorite humans ever to college, and I am not.
Not okay.
See, this is why we need the retreat, so we can make it better.
We can drink all those cares away. All members of Patreon get exclusive episodes and perks like Buzzing Book Club. February's book club author is author Susan Stoker. So make sure you plan to join us for that in February. You can find a list of all our upcoming events at bookcaseandcoffee.com /events, including happy hours, IG lives, and book clubs. Anyway, that's it for Monsters, Aliens, and Bonkers, or Aliens, Monsters, and Bonkers.
You're welcome, people. You're
welcome. Thank you for joining us for this hot mess. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. Anyway.
Or if you can't be nice, don't.
Just keep on moving.
Because we know we are not for everybody.
We are not. Anyway, thank you guys for sharing your monsters and aliens and bonkers wrecks with everyone.
It's always a good time.
Super fun.
Until next time, everyone.
Happy reading, everybody.
Bye.